Welcome to the Upshot Interview Series. This is episode number 13. Today, we'll be talking with Christine Jennings. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Josh Mansfield. And Josh, this is a fun one. I mean, Christine is always great. I've done plenty of commentary with her over the last year, but it's fun to be able to sit down and talk disc golf about her game instead of talking about other people's game on the Disc Golf Network.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to meet Christine before this podcast, and so it was a lot of fun to get to know her a little bit and her journey into disc golf and kind of where her priorities lie and her goals as a player this year. So great interview.
It's a great interview. You're going to enjoy it. She's interesting because she's one of those players who plays a lot of top events, but wants to live at home and doesn't want to live out on the road and spend most of the time out on the road. And, that's a choice that some of the very, very top pros get to make because they can fly in and out and that kind of thing. But if you want to live a more domestic life where you have a house and you spend time at home in your house, it's kind of a different thing than living in a van and traveling around the country. So I think insightful to hear about her decisions around that. And of course, how she navigates being a player and a member of the disc golf media. So we'll talk to her about that. And she's just getting her season started. So we'll talk to her about what her goals are for 2022. Very interesting stuff. Enjoy it. She joins us next right here on the Upshot Interview Series. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. And you know what? They make more than just disc golf bags. Check out their new Fly Pack. You can find it on the website, pounddiscgolf.com. It is the maximum carry-on size travel pack that you've been looking for. Backpack straps, or you can take those off and convert it into a duffel. It's got room for a laptop, a tablet, your clothes, your stuff, and you know what? Some disc golf discs, because obviously you're going to bring some on vacation. $299.99, and it's just a beautiful bag. You got to check it out. It's available in multiple colorways. Go to pounddiscgolf.com to check out the Fly Pack so that you can travel in style. Joining us now on the Upshot Interview Series is Christine Jennings. She was the 2019 PDGA Rookie of the Year and former U.S. Amateur Champ. Christine, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. It's fun to be interviewing you instead of sitting alongside you for once in the booth.
I know. I'm usually listening to you and talking with you, but now I feel like I'm being talked at.
Well, we'll try not to talk at you. We'll let you talk at us. That's the goal today. So first of all, you have an interesting role in disc golf because you're relatively new to the touring life, but you're also new to the commentary world, doing live coverage on the Disc Golf Network. And so I'm curious to know kind of how you're looking at, let's just say 2022 overall. When you come into this season, are you thinking about, I'm focusing on media, I'm focusing on disc golf? Where do you put your emphasis at the beginning of this year?
This year, I'm definitely focusing on being a player. So last year was kind of my first year after I got myself put together kind of after COVID per se. And I got a lot of opportunities that I said yes to. And so now I put myself in this position where I have a bunch of things to do. But I really want to see, as disc golf is taking off in terms of bigger contracts and bigger opportunities, as a player, I want to see what I can do and see if I can, do really well out there and maybe get bigger contracts. Who knows?
What would you say is your goal then as a player going into this season?
I just want to do better than I ever have before. I don't have a set number, a set expectation, I want to win an Elite Series, or a goal towards the end of the season would be to make the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. But aside from that, it's just, I've always finished middle of the pack, and I know I can do better because I've never really practiced well enough to do better. to be honest. So I really want to focus on that and just do better than I ever have.
So, yeah, let's talk about the coming out of COVID and saying yes to opportunities. What opportunities and how did that stuff come about? I'm trying to remember the first time I saw you like doing media stuff. I feel like it was at USDGC. At least that's my memory of it. But you can tell us when that sort of first happened and how you ended up doing that. You know, it's a kind of a rare opportunity.
So I honestly don't know. That's a good question. If the party podcast came first or not. So Hannah Macbeth asked me, this was either pre-COVID or like just as COVID was starting. Hannah Macbeth asked me if I wanted to be her co-host on the party podcast. And so we started that. We're in our 3rd season now. And right around when that was happening is when Jonathan Poole from USCGC asked me, hey, Christine, if you are playing or if you aren't playing, do you want to do like field reporting for the MPO side? And I was super nervous, but because Hannah and I kind of just started the podcast, I felt a little bit more comfortable because I've already started to put myself out there. And I'm like, well, I might as well just go full send and like really put myself out there. So I took that opportunity and that was kind of like my foot in the door. And then commentary just kind of came naturally after that.
So I haven't had the opportunity to meet you before, Christine. So tell me about your progression to disc golf to begin with. What did you do before disc golf? How did you find the sport? What made you decide to commit your life to disc golf?
So I was just a regular person. I was a server for a really long time. And then I also worked part-time as a teller. I've always worked like 2 jobs for the longest time I can remember. I worked like 60 to 80 hours. That was normal for me. I didn't really have any hobbies when I got out of high school. And so I just worked a lot. I eventually got an opportunity to work as a financial advisor's assistant at Edward Jones. And so I dropped 2 jobs and that was able to give me the monetary amount that I wanted. So I just did the 1 job. And throughout all of that, I dated somebody else who had played disc golf at the time. And I had no idea what it was in 2015. And so then my competitive nature, I played sports in high school. So my competitive nature kind of came out as I walked with him a lot and like played or watched him play local tournaments. And I'm like, this kind of looks fun. And so I started doing it. And literally 2016, I signed up for a PDGA membership, went into playing tournaments like immediately and fell in love with it. And that's why I started traveling, was because there isn't a big women's scene really anywhere. And so I just started traveling to bigger A tiers and whatnot really quickly after that. And here I am.
So media is not your background. You didn't have any history in podcasting, reporting, media.
Not at
like
all.
Has it been?
No.
What's been the hardest part about stepping into that world, in your opinion?
Doing something wrong and being like tremendously judged for it, honestly. But at the same time, even though you're worried about that and you're nervous as heck, it's just like, well, like I'm going to do what I think is best. And if people want to judge it, then it is what it is. Like that's kind of how my mentality, I feel like I've gotten stronger just because of my Instagram. I have like my social media unexpectedly just grew when I first started playing disc golf. And that's kind of also how I feel like I've gotten stronger, is dealing with haters' comments and things like that. It's going to happen. And so now I just take that into commentating or podcasting. And it's like people are going to always have something bad to say. So you just ignore those and keep moving.
Hey, you just got to keep rolling. That's right. Especially when you're in the live environment. It's like, well, I did something real dumb, but keep going. So this is an interesting thing because it feels like you're kind of at a point where you could make a bit of a choice. You know, you could decide, hey, I want to go into media and like disc golf media is going to be my thing that I do. Or you could go the other direction and say, no, I want to commit to playing and, you know, try to, you know, I want to hear a little bit in a second about what was going through your mind when you won Rookie of the Year and kind of what that meant. And then we get hit by COVID right away. But have you weighed that choice? about the potential option of kind of going more into media and stepping away from disc golf? Is this sort of necessitated if you want to do it full time?
I'm always weighing those options. So I have disc golf media, I have playing, I'm also a real estate agent, and I also work part-time for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So I actually have like 4 main avenues that I can like pursue full-time if I wanted to see what is going to work the best. I think that being a player, I always skated by just by being a 920 rated player. Like I didn't do horrible, but I was pretty relevant, or relevant enough, I should say, to where I'm able to keep a decent amount of sponsors, but I don't have to go out there and win because my sponsors know that like I still go back home to work my job, and I don't travel on the road full time. Like that's not something that I want to do. So this year is when that kind of changed because I saw the trajectory of where disc golf is going and where 100,000 PDGA members was a big thing like 2 or 3 years ago, and now suddenly we're already at 200,000. I'm like, holy cow! I didn't even think that could happen so fast, and so I just want to see where this can take me because real estate can wait. The Pro Tour tries to give me full-time jobs. So, I mean, I think if I ever wanted it, I could have it. And media, I'm like on the fence. I could also, I don't know if that can wait. I'd have to pull the trigger on that, I think, pretty quickly if I want to be involved in it more. But this year, I just know for myself that I'm focusing on playing, and we'll see where everything else goes.
Do you find it to be a tough juggling act because, you don't pursue them full time, but you still have a lot of balls in your court that you're trying to keep track of. Do you feel like you're able to commit a sufficient amount of time to the playing side?
So that's something that I need to do better at already because I'm thinking, like I thought in the beginning of this year, okay, my season really starts in April. Like I'm at Music City and I'm going to, like, my big event is Jonesboro that I'm going to in a few weeks. So I like kind of want to get more in routine for that coming up. But I should have prepped a little bit sooner, just because it is a lot to juggle, like I tell myself, okay, I'm a part-time employee at the Pro Tour. And so I have to work like a few hours every day to do that. But then like all of a sudden you have real estate come at you and, you have a friend that's like, hey, I have a friend that wants to buy. Can you go help them? And then that takes like a few hours of your day. And then like things just kind of keep popping up. And it's like, oh, now I have to record a podcast with Hannah for our party. And now I'm going to Milwaukee for commentating. And it's like, it takes me so many different ways that it's hard to stay in a routine. And so it's definitely difficult. But this is like, now I'm like, okay, I have to set myself a timer on this is when I'm done with my job. And now I'm going to like take the rest of the day to go putt or to go to the course and practice, throw some field work shots or whatever that is. Like I really need to hone that in because I'm not good at that.
It's a challenging thing for everybody, but like especially when you're going to be, not on full-time tour where you're playing every single weekend. I mean, naturally, those players are getting more reps. Okay, really quick, what's the real estate market looking like right now? Because I read the headlines and I see this: mortgage rates are coming up. We're off this crazy time in COVID. Everybody's buying houses. Is it starting to cool off in your area, or is it still just rip roaring?
So I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and so interest rates are going up. I closed on my house in 2020 at 3%, and wow. I'm pretty sure they're close to like 5%. Like it's 4.8, 4.9 ish. So it's already jumped in a couple years. It was really more so just like 3 weeks ago. They just kept pushing it up and up and up. So those are going up. I thought that in the wintertime, the market was starting to cool off because there for a minute during COVID, anything that popped on the market, like I would go do a showing and the house would smell like animals and it's like gross. But then literally the next day it's pending. And I'm like, why did anybody want to buy that house? Like you would like never think. And so like everything that came on the market was being sold. But then over the winter time, those not so great ones were lingering for a few weeks. And so like naturally you're like, okay, it's kind of slowing down. But then now that like, I don't know, Ohio gave us a fake summer 2 weeks ago and it was like 70 degrees. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe the weather had something to do with it. But now like everything's being sold again and everyone's just like fighting and like overbidding all over again. Wow. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, It's crazy. It's still crazy.
I wish I had a 3% mortgage right now. With inflation at 7%, they're paying you to have a house. That's great.
Yeah, right.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm gonna like keep in touch because I'm trying to figure out like when is the time to buy. It doesn't seem like it's yet.
Yeah, you should wait a little bit. I think the market needs to correct itself, and once that happens, people won't be overbidding for houses. I don't think.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to 2019. You win Rookie of the Year. You beat out Valerie Mondahano. Interesting. And so, what's going through your mind that year? Are you like, wow, like I'm like getting really good and I want to go and, become a full-time disc golfer?
Mm-hmm.
Or were you still thinking, I'm trying to live in Ohio and do, my real estate job, and then this is kind of like a part-time thing for me?
So, yes, I did realize I was getting better at that point because at that point, I just started 3 years ago in 2016. So the dream for me as an amateur in 2016, 17, and 18 was like, oh, I want to go to Am Worlds one day. I want to be 900 rated one day. I want to go play with the professionals one day, right? Like those are things that were going through my head. And then as the years went on, these things were happening. So in 2018, I made it a goal for myself to go play like all the big events. I think I went to Glass Blown Open, which is now Dynamic Discs Open. And I won that. I won US Women's. And then I wanted to play Am Worlds at least one time before I made the jump to professional. And so that's what I did when I played with the Mondujanos and Deanne Carey. And then I took Rookie of the Year. And I'm like, okay, like I'm doing good. I'm on a good pace. But I knew that I was never going to pursue the whole like full-time tour thing because I can't imagine myself living in a van. And I also, I guess I'm not like upset to admit or embarrassed to admit, like I'm very monetarily driven. So like I know a lot of people that are out there, it's like, I don't care about the money, I'm out there for the happiness. I'm backwards. Like I will grind and like make all of the money that I possibly can. And then like I'm gonna retire early and enjoy it then. And like, don't get me wrong, I'll enjoy my life like while I'm going through this process. Like I enjoy all 4 of my jobs that I'm doing. Like I love them all so much. And so it's like I can reap the rewards monetarily while I'm doing all of that now. So it was never a dream of mine to like fully go out on tour. But saying that, we still try to get most of the events that just aren't on the West Coast. So like this year we're going to Jonesboro, Dynamic Discs Open. We're still going to Worlds. Like we're still going out there. It's just not like I'm missing California. Like that's just really far. And we didn't go to Texas. That's really far. But I feel like I'm like doing enough to stay relevant.
So we talk about, the money side of disc golf all the time, and pros, especially touring pros, and what their contracts look like. I have a bit of a different question for you then. What percentage of your income is made up by your disc golf sponsorships? If you're comfortable answering that.
Is it the disc golf as a whole or sponsorships period?
As a player. So don't include like your
Okay.
part-time pro tour job.
Okay. Last year on my W-2, half of my income was from disc golf, like as a whole. So mixed with my sponsors, my tour series sales. I hustled a lot of discs on my own. All of those things. It was half of my income.
It's interesting. Like, do you feel, I've talked to some pros and, people with different tiers of the sport, and it's different for MPO and FPO too, obviously, because payouts are quite different.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes players, I think, feel like tournaments aren't even, like, it's not about winning the cash at the tournament. It's about the bonus, or it's about the getting on the coverage, or it's about something else,
Yeah.
So is that how you feel about it? Because you're somebody who is finishing, above the cash line typically, but not up at the top, winning, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on a weekend. Is that enough to like make it worth being at the tournament?
I would like to be a little bit better than like just making cash, because that's usually where I end up. But you're right. Like the cash at the event's essentially like a cherry on top. Like if I can cash and like make more money going up the leaderboard, great. But I'm going into these Pro Tour events like knowing, like I already get paid by my sponsors on the back end, like just as like a monthly stipend or whatever the deal is that I have with the sponsor. And as long as I'm like staying relevant on social media, making my posts and all of that, like I know that I'm taken care of. So the cash at the event is just a cherry on top, as well as the finish. Like, of course, I want to finish well. I'm still a competitor. I'm a player at the end of the day. It's just how well I can finish. And of course, you get more attention from more sponsors if you can finish better. So that's the ultimate goal. But I do okay with where I'm at.
Speaking of social media, I think you have one of the best Twitter accounts in disc golf. So I'm going to give you the opportunity now. What is your favorite joke or tweet that you want everyone of the Upshot who may not follow you on social media to hear?
I think I have one pinned at the top of my... Are you on my Twitter right now?
I've got it up right now. Yep.
Can you read it? I don't know. I want it to be perfect.
So this is from February 19th, 2021. So I was born a female. I identify as a female, but according to a box of mac and cheese, I also identify as a family of 4.
That sets the tone for my Twitter.
It sets it well. It's pretty accurate of the jokes that follow.
Yeah. I love that.
All right. Well, it's a great Twitter. I've got to give you props.
Oh, thank you. I try to keep it lighthearted over there.
So we're interviewing you during Music City Open. Is this like a warm-up tournament for you as you get ready for Jonesboro? And are you playing Champions Cup?
I am not going to Champions Cup. We actually talked about that because I'm from Ohio. So I'm only about 5 hours from there right now. And then we're playing Bowling Green Open. It's just an ATR a couple hours north from here next weekend. And that kind of takes us back home. And so we could have gone down to Champions Cup and then straight to Jonesboro. But I think I just wanted like that one extra week of just being at home instead of, because we're about to go off for 3 weeks. It's Jonesboro, Dynamic Discs Open, and we're going to something else right after that. So I didn't want to be on the road for like 6 weeks straight. I kind of wanted a break and then go back out there for a few more weeks. So I'm not going to that one. But I'm going to like a lot of the other bigger ones. So I just didn't want to do too much.
Sure. It makes sense. What's your take on Champions Cup? Let's say it was more convenient and you were going to play it. You know, do you like the idea of having the fourth major?
I do, and honestly, W.R. Jackson's one of my favorite courses, like top 3. And so I'm sad that I'm not going to it, but as I said earlier, my main goal is to try to get into the Pro Tour Championships. And so when I'm picking my schedule, that was like the one that didn't make sense to me because I'm trying to hit all the Pro Tour events. This is a silver series, so this helps. So yes, it is kind of a warm up like this one and then the A tier next weekend. But I still want to do the best I can because it does count towards Pro Tour points. And then Worlds and US Women's are majors. And those are, I feel like, more of the important majors that I should have selected. So I did that. And then Champions Cup just kind of rolled itself out, which makes me sad because it's one of my favorite courses. But...
So besides W.R. Jackson, what would you say is your favorite course that you have on your tour schedule for this season?
That I have for this season? Oh, Idlewyld's one of my favorites. So I'm only like an hour and a half from Idlewild. So I don't venture down there that much anymore, but I used to play there all the time as an AM and get my butt kicked. But I love that course. So
would you say, based on the two choices, W.R. Jackson and Idlewild, do you feel like the Woods suits your game better?
Yes.
And what about your game? Yeah, describe that a little bit.
Yeah, I live in the Midwest, so naturally, like Cincinnati, where Idlewild is, and a couple other better courses, those are more wooded. You have to hit your lines. And then I'm dating Bart Kovalevsky. He's from Michigan. So we go to Michigan quite often just to play some B tiers or A tiers on some off weekends when we're not on the bigger tour. And Michigan has really, really great wooded golf. And so just from the areas that I've kind of grown my disc golf game, that's just what I've learned to play. And so I throw a lot of understable plastic. Like my go-to disc is a Sidewinder. It's been my Tour Series discs for 2 years now. I probably have like 5 of them in my bag. And I just throw really understable plastic. So I don't throw very far because I'm just like so good at hitting those controlled lines, and that's definitely a weakness that I need to work on. But yeah, that's my game. Hyzer flips, sidewinders.
I wish I could throw that. I need to learn how to throw that kind of stuff in the woods because I'm always catching trees. Okay, so how you both compete obviously and discuss the FPO division on the Party podcast. So how do you feel about the current state of course design for FPO as it stands right now on the Pro Tour?
I like it. I like the changes that they make for the most part. Sometimes they'll get feedback after a tournament happens, and then the following year they'll take that feedback and make the correction. Even this course that I'm playing this weekend, they got a lot of feedback. It was a new course last year at Music City, and they shortened some of the par fours to where it's actually gettable. And I'm not a fan of like birdie fest. Like when you look at MPO scoring, I don't even keep up with MPO that well, to be honest. Like I don't really watch that, but I know that the scorecards are just birdies all over the place, especially when you're in the top. And I don't love that. I love a challenging par three. I love just challenge in general, and then to feel rewarded for throwing good shots. And so if a course checks those boxes, I'm pretty content. I don't love, let's just throw 250 to 350 foot par threes all day and like give us a birdie opportunity every time. Like some people advocate for that, and I'm not a fan. I love a good par 4 or 5.
Which facility do you feel like has the best FPO layout, and it's designed with the FPO mind in game rather than game in mind, rather than just, taking the MPO layout and adding an additional stroke to par, for example?
You say facility, like just any like
course
any
or course, yeah.
Honestly, because I don't throw far, I naturally just migrate to like the comfort of the Midwest. So honestly, like anything in the Midwest, Northwoods was kind of a new one, I guess, in Ledgestone's Midwest, but I'm thinking more of like Ohio to like Smuggler's Notch and MVP, like those kinds of wooded courses. Those are my favorite because I think that they're not new on the tour. They've been on tour for a few years now, and so it's more settled in. The FPO layouts are pretty good, and I think they're really fair, and I like it.
There's obviously a lot of conversation, and you understand this well, about woods golf and its spectator value. How can the cell reception do in the woods? Can the on-site spectators, are they able to see well enough? And the trend has been away from more heavily wooded courses to more open layouts. I mean, we literally just saw that at Texas State's, where we went out of the woods and we have a new, much more open layout. So, as somebody who likes to play in the woods, do you feel like the balance is correct, or is the pendulum swinging too far towards open courses?
I think right now the balance is correct. We kind of saw, Portland was an example of last year, right? They had to deter from the original course that had more woods in it and just ended up on that ball golf course. I think that happens more so because of the whole cell service situation. And in that case, I get it. Like, I understand where they're coming from, and that's just kind of what they have to do. I think it's fair because when I think of the tour in my head, when it starts on the West Coast golf is usually pretty open. And then as it migrates towards the East Coast, it gets more and more wooded. So to me, it's fair. But if they start cherry picking the Midwest swing and making them like open, then I might like start having problems. But I think right now we're pretty balanced.
So you, talked a lot about kind of your growth into the game was playing with, or at least watching the tournaments that your current partner was playing in. I know, at least in my area, there's a tournament coming up in a couple weeks. There are 4 women's divisions offered. 3 of them have 1 player per division. And I know that's not a uncommon occurrence in a lot of areas where the women's game isn't quite as developed. What would you say to amateur women who maybe feel like they are in that underdeveloped area about what they can do and ways that the women's game can improve for amateur side in those areas?
If you don't have a ladies league in your area, you should start one. And we have a ladies league in our area. It's free. I think a lot of times like money just intimidates people because money usually equals like really hard competition. And so ours is just free. I think it was like 4 years ago. She started it 5 years ago, and it was like a group of 5 of us. And now I see at least 20 people routinely because they post about it on a Facebook group. They just connect with our local club and have the local club help advertise, or your local Facebook group or whatever it is. Starting one of those really helps just like bring people in, because there's a lot of guys out there that have girlfriends or significant others that kind of like walk with them, and maybe they're itching to play, but they don't feel comfortable like doing so because it's usually she's just hanging out with like the guys and his bros. Like that's how I felt when I first started playing. Like there wasn't a lot of women and I was intimidated. So to have like a space for women to feel comfortable growing and even just having fun, I think that just builds confidence, like stepping stones. But as a competitor, I also urge you to, like, if you're in a division by yourself, but there's a few more above you, like move up. And yeah, you might take a beating, but also you're watching players that are better than you. And so I think you can take a lot of nuggets from that and just use it as a learning experience rather than like just taking a win because you're in a division by yourself. And I think that would really help grow the sport and like mentally yourself.
And now let's talk the pro side. We've seen such a great development of talent in FPO over the last few years. What's the kind of the most exciting storylines for you, whether that's you as a competitor or you as somebody who's kind of commenting on the game, that's going on in the division right now?
I think it's just like the whole division's getting so much better. And I kind of spoke to it before where I was doing okay being a very average FPO player. Like, sure, I was like better than the typical like AM FA1 player like in the local area. But at the same time, like when I go to the Pro Tour 2 years ago, I could play 900 rated golf and be in the top 10. And now it's like if I play 900 rated golf, I'm likely not cashing. And so it's just like the standard and like everyone just getting so much better. I've played with a lot of the same people over and over again, as I've been on the tour kind of for a few years now. And like Holly Finley has a sidearm now, like so many different players have so many different shots that they do. And like everyone's putting's getting better. And now it's like a lot of people are giving good bids for Circle 2. And like the whole field is just getting so much better in every way possible. Rebecca Cox was like out driving me by like 50 feet. And like she normally, like her and I are usually like really like neck and neck in terms of distance. And it's like so many people are just like throwing farther now. I'm like, well, do you want to teach me how to do that? Because your girl needs some help.
So yeah, well, what tools are you trying to add to the toolbox right now?
So I say distance. Distance is honestly like hard to work on at the moment because my season just started. But I also live in Ohio and it's cold and snowy, so I couldn't really work on it in the off season. But that's something that I would really like to focus on. But also just being more confident and like going for more things. I usually play pretty conservative because I'm from a woods perspective, like a woods golfer. Usually when you're playing conservative, you're doing okay, because when you start getting really aggressive in the woods, that's when you can get yourself into trouble. Naturally, I take that to any course, and sometimes it bites me in the butt because I'm playing a little bit more conservative, but it's like, well, if I could have just tried to get a little bit more aggressive, maybe I could have gotten the birdie, maybe on a par 4 or 5, if I would have try to go for a little bit more and bite more off. Granted, it all comes with risk, but I think that's just trusting yourself and knowing like all of these years of playing, like you're able to do it. You just have to do it. And that's my downfall right now. I'm pretty conservative.
So sometimes it's hard to gauge just based on coverage. How far do you throw right now?
I throw like a max of 320.
Okay.
And at this point, that's like not good.
And so what do you feel like right now on the FPO side is kind of the standard of where you need to be for good distance? I
think like 350 is all right, because I'd like to range like how far Paige Pierce and Katrina throw. They probably throw like they're pushing 450. And that's like out of I feel like they just gain that distance because they've been playing for so long, to be honest. So if you can get like 350, 370, that'll get you to like some of those harder par threes to where like when I walk up to that, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to throw as far as I can and then have like a 70-foot pitch up and take my par. So that would be a good difference.
It's been, I mean, watching Paige throw some of those holes at Texas State's, I mean, she was just bombing some shots.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's getting birdies on holes that like literally nobody else can birdie. Do you think that there's how should course designers deal with Paige? Because, you know, she does have this advantage. Her and Ella Hansen and maybe Jen Allen, a couple of the really long throwers, Katrina, Evelina. Do you want to? Should those players get rewarded more, or is it about right? You know, because you talk about the difference between the easy, you know, 250-foot par threes where everybody can get a birdie, and then, you know, we are seeing more holes, it seems to me, where like only Paige or Ella Hansen can get a birdie.
I think that the designer should keep the the average professionals in mind. Paige isn't an average professional. Paige is like absolute elite. And I mean, you can put like Katrina Allen or the other far throwers up there as well. But also, like you said, I'm not a fan of like the 250-foot holes. If there's a 370-foot par three that I can't reach, but majority of the field can reach, they deserve the birdie. Like they're putting in the work, like Holly Finley and Rebecca Cox specifically, like they have put in the work in the offseason to be able to throw farther. And if that's the difference that it takes for you to get that birdie, you should be rewarded for it. And now speaking of like the farther throwers, you can't like design a course that's when you're thinking about them, because then you're taking literally the rest of the 95% of the field to not be able to get a birdie, and maybe it's just a par for them. And then that goes like too far on the other side for me. So
yeah, interesting. Go ahead, Josh.
So yeah, this question is going to come from a kind of a weird place. By weird place, I mean Reddit. But very weird place. So if you look at a lot of like the forum discussions on Reddit, on Facebook, on any social media, right? And even on tutorials, the overwhelming advice for new players is don't throw a distance driver, right? It's hard to control. Yeah, and I think it's good advice. I think it is sound advice. Then there are arbitrary numbers about where you should throw a distance driver and at what point you throw far enough to throw a distance driver. I'm curious, though, how that relates to the FPO side, who are throwing the same distance drivers but don't have the same kind of distance capacity as an MPO player or even top MA1 advanced, for example. So my question for you, a couple parts then. First off, what is your max distance driver?
A destroyer.
You throw a destroyer. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that? I mean, for that 320-foot shot, I guess, how does the use of a destroyer for you compare with that idea of, well, you know, for men, don't throw a distance driver until you hit 350 feet.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I know it's kind of a weird question, but I've always been fascinated by this question.
I think at that point, it just comes from the thought of like highest percentage. Like I play disc golf by highest percentage. And so if that's a 300-foot hyzer shot that I can throw a destroyer on, I can throw a destroyer on a hyzer, and unless it's some stupid crazy wind, I know it's going to go left as a right-hand backhand player, to where I can probably also park it with a sidewinder. I have to finagle the angle on it a little bit more because it's a little more understable. But at that point, it's like, why would I try to throw a hyzer flip with the sidewinder if I can just throw a destroyer that's going to go left? And so I think that's where my selection of discs comes from, is just the percentage, shot percentage.
So as you start to ramp up your season and you're eyeing the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, you know, now that you've played a little bit to start this year, I know very, very little at this point, but what do you feel like, oh, wow, like I need to do X, Y, and Z to get to that goal of making the Pro Tour Championship? Or is it just like, hey, I got to go out and play these events?
I do have to go and play the events. because I almost made it last year, evidently, and I just like could have played a couple more events. So I like added more events naturally, but there's always something to work on. It's not just like I can't think of a player that's just always content with where they're at. Like, oh no, like
Sure.
I just need to add more players to my or more events to my schedule, and I'll be fine. Like last year, that could have been the case because that's what made me miss the Pro Tour Championships. But this year, like I said, like everyone's just all of a sudden in the off season, people are throwing farther, people are more accurate on their putts. Like people are starting to put a lot more work in, and so I have to do the same. And just for me right now, it's like distance and being more aggressive.
Would you pull back on doing media stuff, let's say, or other things that you're doing, Pro Tour part-time work, if that's what it took for you to level up the disc golf game?
I kind of am doing that this year.
Okay.
I did like 9 or 10 commentating events last year, and I'm only doing 3 this year. So like that already shows how much I've shifted my schedule in that aspect. Now it's just actually putting the time in to get the practice in, because now I have more time for myself.
Awesome. Well, good luck in your season, and great to chat with you here, and thanks so much for making some time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be interviewed.
Great to have you here. So yeah, so your next event is Jonesboro. Other than that, well, A-tier.
Yeah, I'm going to the A-tier next week. But yeah, Jonesboro and Dynamic Disc Open. I'm just ready to start the season.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Christine Jennings, with us here on The Upshot. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.